You know, when you talk to people about old records or history or folks who do genealogy, you won't have to talk to them very long before they mention quite wistfully the records they'll never find because they were destroyed in a fire. We almost forget in this day and age that fires used to be an all too common hazard of living in a time of wooden buildings heated by fireplaces and illuminated by oil lamps and candles. And let's not forget, if a blaze did break out, there often wasn't a fire department that could speed to your house in a big truck over a paved road after you called them on a telephone. The threats cities faced with fires were always a problem, and our town was no exception. The evidence is everywhere. Take, for instance, the view of the obelisk, the memorial to the signers of the Declaration of Independence. It's been right in the middle of Green Street for over 150 years. You really see it well positioned in front of the municipal building, and before that, the old courthouse. Was that by design, maybe set out by some far-thinking city officials? No. It was opened in 1858 after a fire had burned down the buildings in front of it 2 years before, and everyone got used to seeing the monument from Broad Street 2 blocks away. Most of us know about Augusta's famous 1916 fire that destroyed much of downtown and a lot of the residential area that we now call Old Town. I sometimes suspect that blaze gets all the attention because it burned the newspaper building, a fact that no doubt increased its impact among those who would tell its story. Almost no one knows that Augusta was swept by a very destructive fire in June 1899, followed by another in December of that year. But if the continued fear of flames was ever at the top of Augusta's collective concern, it was in 1829. On April 3rd of that year, the Chronicle reported 800 to 850 homes destroyed when a fire swept through much of downtown. Think of the impact that must have had. The city was so alarmed, it passed an ordinance restricting wooden structures in downtown Augusta. And while that might explain why we have so many old brick buildings downtown, particularly along Broad Street, it didn't stop the fires. On September 24th, a fire spread along Augusta's Main Street, and a week later, civic leaders offered a reward to catch those they said must be starting them. A suspect was soon in custody. John Guimarin, a silversmith with a large family, was arrested. Whether Mr. Guimarin was guilty or not, news of fires began to flicker out for the rest of the year. These days, it's only when an old building catches on fire and burns down that we think how terrible it is. But actually, it used to happen a lot. And that's one of the nice things about the good old days, is they're not nearly as dangerous as we have it today.